Have you ever noticed how books multiply when you're not looking? Like mugs or cables or that one drawer full of batteries that may or may not be functional. Books just appear, and one day you own 10, then 50, then 100, and suddenly you're standing in a room thinking, did I open a small bookstore while I wasn't paying attention? And for years I told myself it was fine because it's books. Books are noble, books are intelligent. Books make you look like you have your life together. You can't have too many books, right? And then life happens. And suddenly you inherit boxes, heavy ones, lots of them. My name is Dove James. This is the Board Book Geek. Remember to like, subscribe, and tell me what you think in the comments below. And if you want to help keep lights on, Substack, YouTube memberships, Patreon, and even Ko-fi. Let's get into it. So, context, and don't worry, we're not going to do some sad piano trauma dumping today. We're not reliving anything, but long story short, I inherited books from my mother. From my mum. All of them. Stacks, shelves, a whole room of them, paperbacks from charity shops, art books, history books, random novels, old cookbooks, the kind of books that smell faintly like dust, coffee, and time. The kind of books that feel lived with, not curated, not colour coordinated, just loved. And suddenly they were just mine. And here's the thing nobody tells you about inheriting books. It doesn't feel like getting stuff. It feels like weight, physical weight, emotional weight, because every box you open isn't just paper, it's a memory grenade. You pick up a random paperback and your brain goes, oh yeah, that town, that cafe, the day we got caught in the rain and laughed about it. You open an art book and suddenly you remember some trip to a museum about 25 years ago. You find a battered crime novel and you're like, she definitely bought this for 50 pence and read it in a day. And you're smiling and crying at the same time like an absolute loon sitting on the floor surrounded by books. Which, by the way, very undignified. Grief is not cinematic. It's mostly just cross-legged on carpet going, why am I crying over a $1.99 charity shop copy of the Da Vinci Code? And at first, I had this instinct. Keep everything. Obviously, you keep everything, but because getting rid of stuff feels like betrayal, like throwing away a person. Like if the book goes, the memories go too? Which, logically, I know isn't true. But grief isn't logical. Grief is a hoarder. Grief goes, no, you must keep this ripped cookbook with those 3 pages missing because what if it's important? Important to what, brain? The apocalypse? Am I going to rebuild society with a cookbook from 1998 with pasta bakes in them? But here's what actually happens. After a few days of moving boxes around like some librarian playing Tetris, I realised something. There were too many. Not emotionally, physically. There wasn't the space. And there's something about staring at a literal wall of books that makes you understand you can't keep everything. You just can't. And that realisation sucks, but it's also weirdly cleansing. So I started slowly, painfully. Keep, donate, keep, maybe, cry a bit, make more coffee, continue, repeat. It wasn't some productive montage, it wasn't minimalist TikTok, it was sitting on the floor for hours going, okay, do I love this or am I just scared to let it go? And that question is much harder than you would expect. Because sometimes you realise you're not keeping the book, you're keeping the guilt. Some books were easy. Old paperbacks she clearly grabbed for a holiday read and forgot about. Okay, that can go. Someone else can find them in a charity shop and love them next. That feels right. Books want to be read. They don't want to sit in a box like a vampire in the dark. But others, impossible. Certain art books. The ones with the little notes inside. The history ones she used to talk about for hours. Those stay. No debate. They're not books anymore, they're time capsules. letters, bookmarks, handwritten things. And then something weird happened. Clearing her books made me look at mine, and suddenly my shelves didn't feel cozy anymore. They felt crowded, like noise. Like I'd been keeping this stuff because I could. Books I bought because BookTube said they were essential. Books I swore I'd read one day. Books I don't even remember owning, which is wild, by the way. If you don't remember buying a book, why do you own it? That's not a library, that's amnesia in a nice Georgian bookcase. So I started clearing mine too, and that felt different. Less grief, more honesty, because now the question wasn't, does this remind me of Mum? It was, does this remind me of me? Do I actually love this? Or did I buy it because it looked smart on the shelf? Or because someone told me I should? Because here's an uncomfortable truth nobody likes to admit. Sometimes we collect books to look like readers not because we're reading them. We built those little paper personalities, like, look at me, I own Dostoevsky. Cool, have you opened it? No, exactly. And the more I cleaned, the lighter it felt. Not emptier, lighter, there's a difference. Empty feels sad, light feels breathable. Like walking into a room and realising there's space to think, space to exist, and space for books that actually matter. Because some books, they're not objects, they're anchors. They're memory. They're you and your mum in another town getting coffee. They're a bus ride, they're bookshops, rainy afternoons, arguments about what cover is better. They're moments, and those you keep, always. Not because you have to, but because you want to. Because when you hold them, you feel something. And I think that's the test. If a book doesn't make you feel something, maybe it's just paper. So yeah, cleaning out books has been weirdly emotional. Sometimes I've laughed, sometimes I've sat on the floor and cried like a child. Sometimes it felt like therapy, and sometimes it felt like torture. But mostly, it felt like curating a life, not decluttering, curating, which sounds fancier, but it just means choosing what deserves space. Because space is limited, shelves are limited, time is limited, and life is limited. We don't need every book, we just need the ones that mean something. I think that's the bit nobody tells you. A full bookshelf isn't automatically a good one. Sometimes the best bookshelf is the one you can point to a single spine and tell a story. Oh, that one, that was me and my mum on that trip day at the beach. That one, read it during a rough year. That one changed my life. That's a library, not just storage. So yeah, if you've been staring at your shelves lately feeling overwhelmed, maybe it's okay to let something go. Doesn't mean you love them any less, it just means you're making room for better ones, for meaningful ones, for books that feel like home. And if you ever see some random paperbacks in a charity shop with a slightly bent corner and a weird coffee stain, maybe they used to belong to my mum. Maybe it used to belong to me. Maybe it's about to become part of your story instead. And honestly, I kind of like that. Books travelling, memory travelling, stories continue. That feels right. Anyway, I'm going to go back to sorting out this stack of books before they strike and rebel and try and bury me. If you don't hear from me, tell people I died how I lived, crushed by literature. Very on brand, right? Anyway, I'll see you in the next one.